But okay, Epstein.
All right, so this has been. Can you believe how long ago this happened? So Epstein died almost 6 years ago now. It feels like time has flown. Anyway, obviously, a lot of people very committed to this. A lot of people have very strong opinions on it. Now, the FBI, and this is not Biden's FBI. This is Trump's new FBI. They're coming out and they're saying Epstein actually did kill himself, and they say they have video evidence to prove it.
Play cut 341.
There is nothing in the file at this point on the Epstein case, and there's going to be a disclosure on this coming shortly. We are working through there is video. That is something the public does not.
There's video of him killing himself.
No, not the actual act. We are working on cleaning it up to make sure you have an enhanced, and we're going to give the original so you don't think there were any shenanigans. You're going to see there's no one there but him. Right. There's just nobody there.
I trust Dan completely. It's still a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna be honest. Like I trust Cash and Dan. I want to see what they're looking at.
It does seem too clean, and I would say I think we should be open to. There's conspiracies that you could embrace that don't require someone to have murdered him,
or they could have threatened him.
Yeah, they could have threatened him. They could have said like, "Time's up, time to kill yourself." Like he could have arranged to make it so he could kill himself if he wanted to do that, because they were supposed to stop him. And so you can have conspiracies that work that way instead of requiring a murder action. But, you know, it is interesting that obviously people have been very invested in it. Do you think people will ever be, let's say they come out and they straight up have the video and it seems very strong. Would people be willing to buy it? I just feel like they'll probably.
Depends what evidence they're looking at. I mean, I guess here's the problem that I have. Weren't we once told that all the cameras were turned off and that there was like a changing of the guard, right, Cliff? Like I'm drawing on like 5 years memory here, but wasn't like there this sus thing where the guard like fell asleep or he wasn't on his post, or am I right about this? Right?
Yeah, and that was like the first thing they put out was the video cameras weren't working, and that's why we all immediately were like, come on, like you got to be kidding me. There's no way you can just say that and act like it's that clean. That's the situation.
So here's Epstein was taken off suicide watch shortly before his death, despite a prior incident. And then guards failed to check on him as required, and cameras outside his cell reportedly malfunctioned. So, but Dan's saying there's video. So I don't know if they malfunctioned or they just don't want to report it, or some of them malfunctioned and others were working. I don't know.
I can tell you, a lot of the people I'm talking to are not buying it.
They're not buying this claim?
What Dan is saying.
Well, on what grounds?
They just say it's too good to be. It's just like there's no way that.
Well, they think that he got into the system and that Dan and Cash have been corrupted by like the mechanisms of government. Like I don't buy that.
But I'm not.
No, but that's the like. I mean, if you just go on the internet, you'll find those.
No,
like,
but I guess. The camera's not working, and then there was something with the guard too. What was it with the guard?
The guards failed to check on him,
right? Yeah,
as required.
So they fell asleep. They didn't check on him. You know, he wasn't in a suicide-proof room. So people point to all this and are not convinced.
Yeah, it was Tova Noel and Michael Thomas were the two guards. And they were accused of falling asleep and surfing the internet rather than checking on Epstein every 30 minutes. That's like one of the kind of darkly funny thing about this is really you're debating between there's no way they could have missed this. It had to be a conspiracy, and just actually, you know, it's a federal prison in New York and they have these inept, dumb guards who are lazy and they're just used to not ever checking on anything. And you know, they probably didn't even know Epstein was that famous of a guy.
And the visitor log went missing. I think that was the other element that people were like really sussed about. What do Andrea Bocelli, Steph Curry, Justin Bieber, and Tim Tebow have in common? All of their mothers were encouraged to end their pregnancies. When a woman faces an unplanned pregnancy, she is often pressured to end her child's life. She wants to make the right choice, but society and those around her are telling her that her baby is not a life. That's where the Ministry of Preborn steps in. Preborn and their network of clinics offers compassionate, loving care to mothers and the support they need to help them choose life, including a free ultrasound. Once a mother hears their child's beautiful heartbeat, she is twice as likely to choose life. If you consider yourself pro-life, it's time to join forces with Preborn. I'm a donor, and you should be too. Together, we can empower women to choose life, empower the truth of motherhood, transforms families and futures. One ultrasound is just $28, and a $140 gift will help to rescue 5 babies. When you donate monthly, you'll receive stories and pictures of lives you helped to save. Please dial pound 250 and say the keyword baby. That's pound 250 baby, or visit preborn.com/Charlie. That is preborn.com/Charlie, sponsored by Preborn.
And then and that's the same thing. Like they just bad record keeping. They screw everything up.
Like the top 5 things that would make alarm bells go off. Like they checked every box and they put it all out immediately. So we were all like, there's just no way this wasn't a hit job. But Dan says it like, I'm with you, Charlie. I mean, I want to see what they're looking at. What are they looking at to be that confident?
Well, there was also an issue with the autopsy findings, right? So it showed a broken
Tucker did a whole thing on that.
hyoid bone or something that some experts argue are more consistent with strangulation than hanging.
And wasn't it like Epstein's brother who came out and was like convinced he didn't kill himself? He went on
There's always
Tucker's
a family member that says
He went
that.
on Tucker's show and was like, "There's no way he killed himself." I think there was something.
Mark Epstein.
Am I right?
I think there was Mark Epstein was his brother.
He went on Tucker's show and said,
Yeah, that was in January of last year. Although I don't recall what specific arguments he made. And was Epstein even that particularly close with his brother?
I don't know. Again, I'm just drawing from memory on this. So
I do feel like we're trending towards a thing where it'll just be part of that like permanent conspiracy canon, and it could get weirder and weirder as a result. And eventually these things cross over. It'll turn out that Epstein was murdered because he knew the truth about the 9/11 conspiracies. And that was done because Building 7 had the truth about the JFK conspiracies. And JFK had to be taken out because he knew the truth about the Pearl Harbor conspiracies.
Now we're getting somewhere.
What's also interesting about this is one of Epstein's victims, Virginia Guffrey, just committed suicide or allegedly committed suicide. And her father, Sky Roberts, expressed disbelief about this, saying, for them to say she committed suicide, there's no way that she did. Somebody got to her. So apparently in 2019, she wrote, "I'm not suicidal. If something happens to me in the sake of my family, do not let this go away or help me protect them. Too many evil people want me quieted."
Yeah, and the Mark Epstein, the brother, he maintained for years that there's no way that Jeffrey would have killed himself. So that is confirmed.
How many years ago was this that he committed suicide or
It
died?
was like August 19, I believe.
I remember where I
Jeez.
was. I was at Liberty University when that happened.
So you're saying you have an alibi?
I do. And I had witnesses.
Okay, I mean,
Just
you
saying.
say so.
I do.
Can you name the witnesses?
Erica, Dave Bratt,
Oh, so your wife is your alibi.
and
Okay.
Dave Bratt.
Okay, all right.
I remember Dave Bratt was teaching a course on Aristotle, and all of a sudden everyone's phone started to light up. And Jaco Boyens and David Harris Jr. And David Harris is like, Epstein just killed himself. And that's then we all talked about for the next hour. It's true.
And Charlie was just, a little bit quiet. He was like, "Oh,
No, I was like,
that's
totally.
so shocking."
What do the comments say? Did Epstein
What are the
kill
people
himself?
saying? Let's see. Donnie Double says, "Me thinks the FBI protests too much." I could see that, but like I'm with Charlie. I don't think Dan Bongino went into the FBI and suddenly got bought off.
No, I don't believe that.
I don't believe that at all.
I think Dan's great. I want to see what he's looking at. I just still find it's just I was personally very convinced otherwise, so I need to reckon with that. I want to see what they're looking at, but I trust Dan. Dan and Cash are great.
Smooshy.
So the other interesting aspect of the Epstein thing, right? You've got this Alexander Acosta, who was the Trump labor secretary during the first term.
Yeah, this is sus.
Right. And he was the U.S. attorney for the Southern District of Florida in 2007 and 2008. And he negotiated a very controversial non-prosecution agreement with Epstein, allowing him to plead guilty to lesser charges, whatever. He only served 13 months. So reportedly, he told Trump's transition team in 2017 that he was instructed to, quote unquote, back off Epstein because he, quote, belonged to intelligence and was, quote, above his pay grade. And it came up in those discussions because they were worried it was going to be an issue with getting him confirmed. So that's like all these things around Epstein. I think it just makes it harder to believe Dan. Dan, by the way, I kind of feel bad for Dan because like you, Charlie, I trust Dan's integrity, but like he's getting dragged online, like all of his, because he was very vocal before he went into the FBI that Epstein didn't kill himself. Like there's clips.
And it's a multiple element thing here, right? Because you can imagine that there is a lot of pressure internally from people he's trying to win trust over that are like, Dan, you have to show us that you're actually going to work with us, or else, we're not going to, you'll have mass internal dissension. Do you know what I mean? And he probably was like, well, show me everything, show me everything, show me everything.
Yeah, I feel like if he was truly trying to, lead us astray,
I don't believe that.
It'd be way easier to just not talk about it much, or say like, oh, we don't know. He's actually putting himself out there, saying like, I have looked at the evidence,
I respect
and
it.
I believe it is strong that
I'm agreeing with it. I'm saying it's just a tough reality to reckon with, because I was convinced he didn't kill himself. I was like, no way.
Well, Dan knows the base too. Like that's one of the reasons I think Dan is going after what the base, like Dan is acutely aware of what like core Trump voters care about and what they want to see justice done on, one of which is Epstein. But you notice like some of these other things are starting to happen.
And I think you're
going back to Crossfire Hurricane.
Stuff. You are. You're going to see some stuff.
Yeah.
I can't say any more than that, but you'll see some stuff.
Good.
Okay, Charlie.
Just some stuff. I don't know what that means.
You're going to see some stuff.
You're going to see some stuff.
We're going to see things we wouldn't believe.
You're just going to see some stuff.
What did you see in the Oval, Charlie?
It's funny. I spent a lot of time talking about William Henry Harrison.
Really?
Because his portrait's like right there as you enter.
Why do they have a portrait of him there?
It's just kind of a fun irony that like things can end
Very
in a way that you don't.
Is it always there, or
anticipate.
is that like a Trump
No.
installation?
So the president has turned the Oval Office into a remarkable museum, where it is literally every square. It's kind of like that club we went into London, where they where there was like paintings everywhere. Every square inch of the Oval now has some historical artifact. He just keeps ordering more stuff from the archives.
Does he have like every single president at this point?
No, just about. I mean, so he's got Reagan right there behind where he does the press conferences. He's got he's got Washington above that. But you could spend literally an hour in the Oval just looking at all the art, because Biden had it very bare. He had like Bobby Kennedy and nothing. Trump is like it's like a historical, just.
You know what's weird about that though, Charlie? So when William Henry Harrison is correct me if I'm wrong, Blake, but he die from
pneumonia,
like a month into his
because
presidency
of the inauguration speech.
Yeah, because he gave a cold inauguration speech,
very
which is
long
ironic because Trump called the inauguration into the Capitol because it was so cold.
Exactly, that's right.
That's funny.
So, looked at the Polk picture. And then I saw the Declaration, which was awesome. I think that is the original Declaration.
Well, do we have multiples? Because we have one that's in the National Archives, correct?
I don't know which one this is. This one has curtains, though, where they're worried about light contamination.
It might be that we have several copies, because I don't imagine
whatever it is.
I feel like I would have
enough.
heard about him like removing the one that's at the archives.
No, I think that I think the founders did multiple.
Yeah, exactly.
Meaning these are not copies. I think when the time they did multiple.
Maybe it was the one stolen by Nicolas Cage in that movie.
Yes, National Treasure.
Yeah.
And it has a treasure map on the back of it.
Yeah.
That shows
We
us.
should have Dan Bongino find out if that's real.
Oh, it's real.
And well, we should announce it then. We should go get the
100%.
treasure.
Yes,
or find out, or get it back from Nick Cage.
I feel like if I wanted to do a National Treasure hunt, I would take Blake with me.
That could work.
He would crack it much quicker than Nicolas Cage.
Ringing endorsement.
I think
They had to take the paintings down because they were distracting Biden.
You keep trying to talk to them. You thought they were visiting.
Listen, William, you keep looking at me over there.
I hung out with you in France in 1997.
I was a bully to Corn Pop. Corn Pop was a bad dude.